Hello and welcome to Your Healthy Mind. I'm Karen Treaster with Never Settle Life Coaching, where we talk about all things healthy for your mind, your body, and your spirit. And today we're going to be talking about hypnosis with a twist, comedy hypnosis, and also hypnosis for you to break through as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, or in your personal life. So you get the edge that you want. And we're going to be talking about human behavior, communications, relationships. And we have no better person to talk about this than Mark Yuzuik. And before we have the conversation, I'd love to give you a little bit more information about him. Mark loves to teach business owners and entrepreneurs some of the secrets that give them the advantage in their business over their competitors. Imagine having your customers raving about you and your services, referring people and leaving your office feeling better than ever and wanting to pay for your service. Since 1988, Mark Yuzuik has performed over 10,000 hypnosis shows and live events to an audience of more than 5 million people across the US, Canada, Australia, Singapore, UK, Europe, and South America, touring with Robert Kiyosaki, Jay Abraham, Success Resources International, and so many others. Mark's extensive study of human behavior over the past 3 decades has given him the ability to understand why people do the things they do and how to instantly interrupt the negative thoughts, habits, or actions that prevent people from living their true greatness. And I am just so excited to have Mark on because I love what he does. So welcome, Mark. And how are you today?
I'm doing great, Karen. Thanks. And as you would know, I know more about the mind than I do about video because as the sun goes over the clouds, it gets dark here. And so if they're watching, they're going, why? What's going on?
Where did he go? I love it. Another one. I'm not, trust me, my tech habits are
I love your
background.
Yeah, you got a nice, I got this, they painted this wall blue and back. I'm like, what? Why is it blue? It doesn't fit right for video, but it's a big office for me. And it's like, I really like it. So every time a cloud goes over, it's like, I get really dark and then light again. And kind of, it's kind of almost like a metaphor in our life. Some days we have days where we feel like it's not going right. And we feel this clouds over us, yet the sun's always shining. If we get through the clouds, we can realize the sun's always shining. Maybe that's a good metaphor to even start the whole chat and things like that, because people think that, why do they have bad days? Because we're supposed to. That's how we have great days. Look at the clouds coming over right now.
Yes, that's human in us, isn't it? It's going to happen.
Yes.
And so what would you say to people?
Well, you know what? You got to look at the clouds as a protection, not as something that's, block your vision or take away the sun. The sun's always there. What we're able to do is we're able to see from a different point of view. The problems, quote unquote, that we get is the creativity in our mind to get us from being comfortable to being creative. I literally, this is so interesting, Karen. I literally do a 90-minute presentation in 2 hours. And I have it where I've got it nailed down, all of my PowerPoint, you know how it is. When you get comfortable, you're rocking, you're on fire, you're in the zone and all that. And then you get a phone call and goes, oh, I meant you can only hit 60 minutes. You're like, 60? Now I've been doing this for 30 years. We are still humans. You know behavior more than anybody else. I mean, to be on here with you is like, I've been looking forward to, I couldn't sleep last night. I'm excited. I'm like, I get to actually talk to Karen, And we look at it like this. We get so set and comfortable in our patterns, and we get so confident we think we're that good at it that we really miss out on the opportunity to really pay forward even more gratitude. And so when he told me I had 60 minutes, I'm like, oh my God, this program is $1,500 for a person. Nobody's going to buy it for that. Now, this is my own mind. So I go, wait, who decided that? I'm in charge of my mind. I'm in charge of what it means to me. So I redid my entire PowerPoint and cut it out. Even the day before, I'm like, should I just sell it for $1,000? It doesn't have much value. I know it's got value, but if I don't get them there, they're not going to buy it. And I'm thinking, and there was one line that made a difference. And I was sitting there talking to my wife and two of the other speakers there. And it's always, you get to bring one person with you to my event, my live event. And everybody paid $1,000, $1,500 for this. And they said, Mark, and I'm reading this book. It's ironic. The Science of Getting Rich.
Oh, I love that book.
I've
read it a million times.
Oh my God. I took a course, paid $5,000 for the course. It was online. One of our homework was we had to read the whole book. And then for 30 days straight, we had to read chapter 4, 7, 11, and 14. If we missed a day, we had to start all over. Right. That was in January. I read those chapters every day. I'm not waiting. I'm not doing the third day. I'm doing a lifetime. And one of the chapters in there talks about increase of how do you give more value. And I thought, you know what? I'm sitting down with lunch. I get to speak and do my show the next day and speak the following day for an hour. And I'm like, should I lower it? And they said, Mark, you have more value and you give more value than you're actually asking for in money. Yes. I understand that. But how do I transfer? I go, instead of letting one person come for free, let the entire staff. Give them so much more value that they have to say yes. And now the entire staff will learn, and it puts increase in their entire company, from their team, from the time they walk in. And I was like, this is worth way more than $1,500.
Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. I know.
This is because of the problem. Karen, if it wasn't for the problem, if you gave me 90 minutes, hey, wrapping it up and do, And because of that, it made me be creative. I'm not competitive. Nobody's competitive.
No, you're unique. Nobody's like you, Mark.
No. Oh, thank God. But we are creative. And I kept telling the doctors, because it's doctors, chiropractors, I said, get out of being creative. Competition, getting creative. You're not competitive. You're creative. What makes you different? And I remember I started off the event and I said, here's the deal. I said, who wakes up and you want to go to work and you hope you procrastinate and you hope you have fear and you hope you have lack of confidence and you create and you want to have stress? Whose intention is that every day you wake up? Nobody. I said, but let me ask you this. How many of you have ever done that where you've woken up and you've had fear and procrastinated and had some stress? And they all raise their hand. I said, well, who's in charge of your mind? So we are. Well, then who's in charge of what things mean to you? I said, we are. I said, then why do you choose that? I said, you don't choose that. I said, when you walk into your office and this is some of the things that I love to learn from you. When you walk into your office, do you have pamphlets and information and things all over? They go, yeah. I go, information is good, but it doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference is influence. They walk in that office. I didn't
hear that. Is what?
Is influence.
Yes.
You're giving them information and you're not giving them influence. It's influence from the time you walk in. What posters are on your wall? What are you saying to them? And it said, you think the influence starts before they get back in the back to get adjusted. It starts the moment you put your key in and turn that door. You have an obligation. So I showed them some posters and things like that of subliminal messages and some that are consciously aware. I said, you have an obligation, because the moment they walk in, you want them to get rid of stress and start believing you and feeling good about themselves. That's influence. From the moment you walk in there, you're being influenced. Their team and your secretaries are being influenced. The way you communicate on the phone is influenced.
Right.
So do you have the news on the TV in your office? Is that positive or negative? So right. You're creating that influence. And I said, and here's the deal. I'm going to give you information today. And during the 3D, I'm going to give you how to implement it and teach you how to do it. It's $1,500 and you get to bring your entire staff. We got that out of the way. Now let's move forward. And we closed 5 times more than we did last time.
Wow. Wow.
And I did it in 60 minutes instead of 90. And it's all because of one thing. How do I give more value to somebody and have that belief in myself to know that I'm over delivering and over promising. Everyone says, you got to under promise and over deliver. Why? Why under promise? Over promise, over deliver, you know, because that's what we do, Karen. You do that.
Yes.
I do that. I know that. It's not ego. It's studying. It's an obligation. It's a place where we come from pride to, because we get to do these things. It's a gift that we get to share. We don't have to, we get to.
We do.
So,
I mean, it's our God-given gift to take all our resources to how we can communicate, how we can connect better with others, and how we can give, because otherwise we're being selfish. If you look at it that way, we're holding
thank
back.
you for saying that.
Yes.
Thanks for saying that. Selfish is not giving what you can help somebody with. I had a lady, and this is what I say, I go, how many in here want to write a book? They raise their hand. How many of you have not done it? Why not? Well, I don't know. People think that they don't deserve it. I said, oh, so it's all about you now. So you don't have something to share, you have something to prove, or do you have something to share and nothing to prove? I said, there's a difference. I said, do you want to write a book to hurt people or help people? Well, to help people. I go, so you have information that can help people? Yes. I go, why don't you do it? It's because you're stuck in yourself thinking, I don't want people to think I'm this. You have an obligation. What if that one book helped somebody through a situation that you went through, and that was your purpose? You have an obligation to share your information out there, a moral obligation. So you got to get them to change the way they think. They don't have anything to prove. They have something to share. There's nothing wrong with being excited and happy and proud about the gifts. It's a gift.
It is.
It's a gift. It's abundance in our life. Welcome that.
It's our obligatory duty, really, to be giving. And it's just so sad. I had someone who had a block about writing. And, with NLP and going deeper, we can help with that. And that's why I just love this work, because what is blocking you about that, you get, like you said, to share with the world. You've got so much information. And I remember thinking that. And I remember I used to like to just find out, curious about a lot of different things. And I'm thinking, why am I learning all this stuff? Where's it going to go? And I was a former personal trainer. And I had all this information. I said, well, what am I doing with it? I mean, I know I was working. I wanted to do more. And that's the thing. I love getting excited about this, because we can bring that out. You can bring that out in people. And,
yes.
and maybe you could share a little bit about that, about how you can help with those breakthroughs.
And here, I ask people, are they givers or takers? And it's more so women than men. They go, well, we're givers. I said, you love to give, right? They go, yeah. I said, but you don't want to take. They, no, I don't want to take nothing. I said, let me tell you a story. I said, this is a true story. It says, how much time do we have? Because I can keep going, go. It's
oh,
okay.
We're good. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Please share.
And it was my mother's 50th birthday. And we were having it in Phoenix. And I'd been in hypnosis, and, and I wanted to fly I call her my aunt. She's my godmother. It's my mom's best friend. She lived in Jersey. And so I called her up and I said, Aunt Doris, I said, my mom's 50th birthday. She said, the only thing she wants to have this nice party. And boy, if Doris can come out, that would be the highlight of it. Well, she goes, well, I don't have the extra money right now. I said, no, I'm going to pay for your ticket. She goes, no, you're not. I'm not letting you pay for my ticket. I said, I understand that, Doris. I said, do you remember when I was like 3 years old in New Jersey in the springtime, the dandelions would come up? Yeah, they're a pain in the butt, people spray them to kill us. Oh, yeah. The dandelion thing.
Yeah.
I said, if I went out there and I was 3 years old, I picked those dandelions and I came all excited. And I ran in the house and said, Doris, I picked your dandelions. Would you grab them from my hand and throw them on the ground? I said, don't you ever do that again. Those are ugly and they're going to wilt. She goes, I would never do that. I says, but they're ugly, Aunt Doris. They're going to die. She goes, that's not the point. I said, well, what do you mean? She goes, you gave me those because of love. I says, oh. And how does that make you feel? Because how do you think that made me feel when you accept them? She goes, made you feel good. I says,
Mm.
so because I'm trying to give you a ticket to be at my mother's 50th birthday party, to make her smile and see it, how do you think it's going to make me feel? How come you're so selfish and don't love me anymore? He
Right.
says, I do. I says, why would you take that from me? Why would you throw down those dandelions? She says, book the ticket. Here's what the best part was. My mom, and we hit her, right? And sometimes I get emotional talk about this, you know. And my mom was coming out and bringing their candles out and all that, and they're singing happy birthday. And she saw the candles, and behind the cake was my aunt. She didn't see her, and she goes, the only thing missing is the best party is I wish Doris could have been here. And then she popped out.
Oh, I love it.
Crying. I mean, that was 28 years ago. And I said, see, you don't have a right not to accept a gift, because the gift you think you're accepting is for you, but it's really for the person giving it in an unselfish and loving way.
And it goes back to, oh, I love that story. Thank you for sharing. It's so true. We have to get ourselves out of the way. And a lot of times it is our self, how we believe in our self-worth. And
right.
And right. And know that other perspective. And really that's what resilience is, right?
Yes.
And understanding another's point of view. And when
sometimes it's hard to accept because we want to give so much, and then we give so much, we be taken advantage of, then we complain about being taken advantage of. When we have to have that balance, we have to learn how to be able to accept, because true giving is accepting too. And when somebody comes up and they want to give you something, it's because they value what you have given to them already.
Right. And I understand that, because I've been guilty of that for sure. Like somebody will compliment me on my dress or something I'm wearing, and I'll say, excuse me, and I'll say, oh, I love your dress, oh, thank you, but I love your dress, I'll say it back, or I'll give them a compliment back and not fully accept it. And I've had to work on that. And,
yes.
and it is about that self-worth, because I've had to overcome that. And it's huge when you can understand that and know that people are out there. They're out there for you. They're not.
Right. The whole point of when somebody walks into your office is you have an obligation to give them, less stress and all, by setting yourself, your office, your mindset up from the moment they walk in to setting it up to where they're receiving value already. And the one thing I don't, I don't watch news. I don't watch it negative. I don't want any of that. Years ago, I decided I'm going to divorce the relationships in my life that make me feel not as good or valued of myself when I leave them. If I don't feel good about it, I don't want them in my life. If they're friends, but I don't feel good, then they're real friends. And I'm going to get engaged to a lot of people that help me become a better person and move to the next level. And I had to get rid of some people that were in my life for many, many years. And I thought, the reason I get rid of is every time I'm around them, they try to belittle you to make themselves feel better. And it's like, why am I still, what is in my life that I'm still feeling like I have to attract in my life? And so I severed a lot of relationships, and I engaged in a lot. And my life, as far as, getting what I really wanted and attracting things in my life I wanted to, is abundance. When I talk about abundance, that's not just financial. It's abundance in health. Yeah. It's abundance in money. It's abundance in relationships. It's abundance in yourself. And in order to accept that, you have to be in a place where it's the door's open. And sometimes there's gatekeepers that block it and don't let it come in. The way you make you feel.
Exactly. Yeah. So, they all work harmoniously together, and you can't be fully whole unless you have all those pieces working together.
Yes.
So, right. And it's really important for that. And yeah, I know there's so many blocks that people can have that they don't see them. right? They don't see them sometimes. And that's part of the big, the big work that we do. And I know you talk about the problem is not the problem.
Right. People try to, a lot of therapists will try to, how do you deal with the problem? You don't deal with the problem. You fix what caused the problem. You get to the root of it. You know, if all you're doing is constantly trying to cut the weed down instead of get rid of the root, it's always going to come back. Even though you don't see it, you pretend it doesn't exist, it's always there. And when you pretend something doesn't exist, any kind of event can flare it up, and it goes right back to what your behaviors are, you know. And the events we have to change. We can't change events. However, we are in charge of what they mean to us.
Right.
And we can change what things mean
Right.
to us. And what we went through as, you know, in our life, that the pain is on there because we haven't got to get the lesson yet. Once we get the lesson, the pain goes away. So what's the lesson? Oh, how do you find a lesson when you were abused? Well, how do you not? How do you find a lesson? You know, we do our total transformation seminars, Karen, they're 3 days long, and there's a lot of hardcore interventions there where you'd be like, what? Who went through this and you survived it? You know, I mean, we were with Nick watching him speak, you know, this guy is so grateful. He's got no arms, no legs, and got a flipper. You know?
That's amazing.
And he's the happiest. He's got 4 kids.
Wow.
4 kids.
Wow.
And he talks about gratitude. And, you know, thank God he was born like that. And he doesn't have pain. He say, do you don't think I wake up every morning wishing for arms and legs? Of course I do. I wish I could be 6'4". It'll never happen. So what do? We take what the gifts we have and we help other people through their challenges in life. You're in charge of your mind and you're in charge of what things mean to you. And if you let the past influence your present and future, then you're doing everybody a disservice and you're giving power to the situation, the pain in the past.
Yeah, it's really, you know, it's up to you to change it. And the thing is, if you just understand that it is changeable, you can think whatever you want. You can make up your own story. You can give it, as you said, the meaning that you want. You know, a perfect example of the meaning of words is using the F word. People from Europe will come over and they'll say, like, they'll goof around. Actually, my ex-husband had someone he did business with, and he used to go in the elevator in Italy and say it, you know, and start throwing it around, and they'd be hysterical. Well, because nobody knows what it doesn't mean anything. And
Right.
so, you know, not just that word, but anything that you have, we put a meaning, we attach it to our experience. I mean, that's what happens, and we store it. So if we can go in and we can give it, like you said, a new meaning, it's going to change your life.
It has to be that way. And if we don't, then you know what, we're not living our purpose. Then what happened to us happened in vain. Instead, it's not that we can't change it and it's not right. And there's nothing we can do except change what it means to us. It doesn't make it go away. We don't forget about it. We don't do that. We let it empower us.
It's right. It's still here, but it's not right up front with us. And it's not the first thought. It's kind of, you know, it's you know, faded, or we just don't, it's overridden by the positive.
Right. We scratch that memory to make it a new meaning.
Exactly. Yep. And it's a beautiful thing because we can literally design how we want our life, and we can make it that way. And
we do design our life. And that's the whole thing.
You do.
You're designing it. It's not the person in the past. It's not what's happened. You're designing your life, and you got to decide if you want a different life. Everything we have is based on what we feel we deserve. If you want it, you know, you got to create that and welcome that into your life. You know, if you're spiritual, then pray for abundance in your life and be thankful when it comes and be open to it. Don't go, oh no, I don't deserve it. Of course you deserve it. You're supposed to be there, you know? Right.
Exactly. Yes. And just being in that place of already having it and already knowing that you know, your whatever it is you're looking for. Gratitude, though, I love talking about gratitude because that's probably one of the biggest things that I'll do, I know, in my morning practice when I first get up. So I
Yes.
think it kind of sets your day.
Yes.
I don't know if you have something like that you do.
It's chapter 11, gratitude. I read it consistent every day. I read it every single day. Never. In fact, I changed even the way I spiritually, I praise. I always thank you for the things you've given in my life and continue to bless me with the health, wealth, relationships, and my spiritual relationship. Those are the four things I pray for, and thank him
Yes.
for giving them to me, and welcome more. I want more abundance, because the more
Right.
abundance I can have, the more I can share and give.
Yeah, and more.
And now I'm a tool. So,
Those are great lessons for people. I mean, just as much value as you can, and just focusing on those and all those things. I wanted to ask you about how you got started in the comedy. I have to ask, because that really, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that is so cool. And the fact that you've talked in front of 5 million people on different tours with people, like, that's amazing. How did you start doing that?
My brother says, I used to own a real estate company. I've done a lot of real estate.
Okay.
And my brother's like, I just got kind of tired. He goes, hey, let's go. It was in Arizona. He goes, let's go to the fair. I want to show you this hypnotist, comedy hypnotist. I go, Tony, you don't believe in that stuff. He goes, dude, it's really funny. I'm telling you. I go, Tony, seriously, you don't believe in that, right? So we went down there. I saw it. His name is Terry Stokes. And I saw him do a show. And it was really funny. It was super fun. I said, yeah, but Tony, they're plants. You're not that gullible. So he goes, no, I'm telling you, I've seen this guy before. He goes, let's watch for the, does 3 shows there. We went to the second show, it was all different people. I go, wow, he's got a lot of people on the payroll, So I went up to him and I said, hey, Terry, I said, that's a great show. At the end, he would go back and chat with people and sign autographs. And I said, are they plants? I said, I'm not going to say anything. I think it's a great show. He goes, no. I said, well, what is it? He goes, it's all volunteers. You can get, in fact, I'll get you my next show. I'm thinking, all right, he ain't gonna pick me. I know he's not, And so he's asking for volunteers the next show. I'm thinking, oh my God, he's looking for me. He's really going to pick me. So you know how you want to, and this is what happens in people's lives sometimes. You commit to something, but you do it in a way where you don't have to follow through. I'm going to commit to not follow through. So I sat behind somebody big and I raised my hand like this much high, instead of raising up and standing up and getting up there. So he looked for me, didn't see me, and I knew he wouldn't, because I positioned myself to say, right. Yeah, I tried.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we do that.
And it was different people. And I went home that night and I'm like, there's something here. I don't know what the deal is, So I went back the next day and I took my cousin with me. And I was like, part of me was hoping I'd see the same people. So I can confirm, I knew it. It's a fake show, But a part of me was hoping I would see different people. Because then I thought, there's something here. I want to figure this out, And it was different people. And I get my cousin, I go, Teddy, you got to volunteer for the next show. He goes, oh, but he volunteered. It was the funniest thing, Karen, I ever seen. He did the craziest thing, and he's not like that.
Wow.
And I remember coming back, and I said, what was it like? He goes, it was weird. I knew what I was doing. I just couldn't stop myself. It's like people procrastinate, or they have successes, or they have, they know what they're doing. They just can't stop themselves. And as we're walking around, he's confident, he's happy. Oh, wow, we got to go talk to the hypnotist. I said, hey, Terry, can you help people stop smoking? He goes, yeah. I said, what about lose weight? He goes, yeah. I go, can you help people make more money and be more financially successful? He goes, yeah. Why do you ask? I said, well, I am financially successful. It's just, I get to a point where I kind of sabotage myself. He goes, well, has anybody ever told you in life that you would make it? I go, yeah, my parents told me. He goes, anybody tell you wouldn't make it? And at that moment, it dawned on me, yeah, the school I went to is weird, kind of a cult. And he said, you just run in 2 different programs. And it was that moment I said, I want to learn all about hypnosis. I have a friend that does all the infomercials. He was one of the very first infomercials out and started the infomercial business for Guthrie Ranker. It was Paul Simon Real Estate, 2 hours. Wow. They did a 2-hour thing. They tested in California. Paul begged him not to do it. He did it anyway. They woke up, and they only tested in a few markets. They woke up Monday morning and they had $1.5 million in their account. And that was the beginning of infomercials.
Wow.
He did a lot of infomercials for different clients. And I said, Paul, would you be interested in doing an infomercial on a hypnotist? He goes, sure, I would. So I said, Stokes, would you be interested in doing an infomercial? He goes, sure, I would. I said, how much would it be for you to train me to be a stage hypnotist? He goes, 30 grand a month. I said, okay. Would you give me 5%? Would Paul give 5%? I put that deal together, and that's how we created it. He took me on the road and trained me how to be a hypnotist.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And that was my
Very
first year was
interesting.
1991 is when I was learning and doing my first year, 1990 and 1991. And I went on the road and he taught me how to do shows. And I thought, well, now, how am I going to get all these shows? Because they said, it's going to be 5 years before you can even think about making $250,000 a year. And I said, well, that's your belief. That's not mine.
Mhm.
And I remember watching a comedian called Red Skelton, an old comedian. Do you remember Red Skelton?
Oh,
Okay.
so-
Yes. Okay.
yeah,
And
we're dating ourselves.
And he had an interpreter that for the hearing impaired, the deaf, and he would say something and he involved her in the show. And I said, that's my hook. I'm going to get an interpreter for the deaf because I'm a visual show, and I'll let all the venues take the credit for it, and we'll build a following. I went from 3 days average a month to a full schedule my first year, and we just kept going, and then it's just nonstop. It was increase in value, give people more than they expect.
What a
And
great
that's
theme.
how I started.
Increase in value. Absolutely. And the value that they're looking for, right?
Yes.
Not the value sometimes that you think that people
Right.
want. That's another thing. And
We had a huge deaf following. Every place we went, it didn't matter if it was Blythe, Arizona, there were deaf people. Now, because blind people, you could get to visual there where they have, the seeing eye dog and or their cane. Deaf people, you don't know if they're deaf because they are walking around, and yet their disability is not visual until you have an interpreter, and then you find out how many deaf people are really out there. And we had such a huge following. We never knew that, and it was value we were giving back. And guess who got all the credit for it? The venues. The venues did, and
How
it was a
beautiful is
win-win-win
that?
for everybody.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful how that worked. And then you just started going on tours with different people, and of course, you were in real estate before. And so you got hooked with Robert Kiyosaki, which is really cool. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes, we toured with Robert, and I remember sitting down with Robert. It was it Romania? Is it Romania or Poland? We went to dinner. And I said, you know what the problem with people is, Robert, why they don't make it, these people today? I said, they don't have what it takes. They're not driven. I said, for me to learn real estate, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure I didn't care what it took. And at the time, back in the 80s, 82, 83, I wanted to learn real estate. So I went to Paul, and Paul said, I'll train you, but he never did. He was on the tour speaking. And he hooked me up with this other guy, Randy Huggins. And Randy had a 2-day foreclosure course out. It was $295. I didn't have that kind of money. $295. He goes, I'll train you, but you got to buy my courses. How do I tell somebody I don't have $295? He says, well, what do you got to trade? And at the time I had a microwave oven because they were just coming out, and I financed it from Sears, if you remember Sears.
Oh,
and I had
yeah. It was every weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a VCR, and that was a hot thing back then. They were $600-700.
Sure.
And I said, all I have is a
Sure.
microwave, and a VCR. And I said, I don't want to give a microwave. It's financed. Financed a microwave. Can you believe that? And he said, well, bring me your VCR over. And what I did was I brought the VCR over and I traded him for his course. Now, before that, what I did was I sold my car and bought a bicycle because I could save $20 a week in gas, enough to go to the 2-day seminar. That's how I got started in real estate. And that's how I did it. And I traded my VCR, and he goes, well, when you listen to this, then call me. And I listened to all the cassettes at the time. Called him the next day and said, Randy, I listened to all. He goes, nobody listens to it all. Nobody does that. And he took me on the train one-on-one. I said, but I was willing to give up my car and my VCR to get the information necessary to have that drive. And that's how I got started in real estate. And I've done over 2,000 deals. I've done real estate seminars all over the country.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. When you make that commitment and you're going to do it, it's really just that decision, isn't it? It's like, yes, I'm going to do it,
That's right.
and commit.
Yep. And people aren't willing, not everybody,
No,
but people like your
not a lot of people are
listeners
not.
are driven. And they're like, okay, there's a missing link. What can I do differently? One is change your mindset. Do whatever it takes to what you got to do to change your mindset. Get yourself away from the people that are negative and move towards the people that are positive, and create a new story for yourself and know you deserve the success. Once you know that, then you move forward.
Right.
And then do
Yeah.
whatever it takes to make it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And you can move past. You don't have to stay in a place of where you're stagnant. And
Yeah.
where the more stagnant you are, the worse it gets in your mind, the worse you dwell on it. And you go into those lower places, and you're not creative, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning. It kind of stunts that.
And then we think we're competitive people instead of being creative. And even the things we've built up, we'll start losing those if we don't continue to move forward. So we have to constantly grow.
So what would you say to people who get so caught up in just that hard day to day, I got to grind and I have to go and
Stop micromanaging.
Stop micromanaging. Yeah.
People grind because they micromanage and they're afraid to let go because they have a control issue. And what they do is they go, I can do this better than anybody else. Maybe you can. And is that where you want to grow to, or is that where you want to stay at? And if you want to grow somewhere else, in order to grow, you're not growing a plant to have one fruit. You're growing to have multiple fruits on that one plant. Exactly. So how do you do that? And people micromanage. The one thing we have is time, and we can get other people to do things that are better than us at it, and we can grow that way. And people are afraid to let go of control because they think they can do it better. Let go of the need to be in control, and your business will thrive. Don't be the best at it.
So true. And it is so hard. And it's even, in any part of your business. I mean, I know when I first started hiring VAs,
yes,
virtual assistants, yes. It's like, I don't know if I want to do that. But
we don't see them. They just do things.
I know. It's scary. It can be scary, but it all goes back to faith. It all goes back to just believe that in order to scale or whatever we have to do, right? And so if you keep that in mind. So what do you you work with? So you're on these tours a lot.
Yes.
And then you also work with individuals as well?
I don't do a lot.
Groups or?
No, I do, because I do live seminars. I don't do a lot of individuals because there are people out there, that's what they do. I do a lot of our events where they're multi-day events, and we come there and we really, with the energy in that room, it's high energy. What we do is we really make some transformations there. Now, anybody that goes to the seminar, I call them and I work with them and walk them through if they get stuck. It's not like I'll call somebody else. Now that I know where they're at and they're on the right path, sure, I'll work with them all the time. So what we do is we do a lot of the seminars where they come for 3 days and we really dive into why do people do what they do, how to make a change, what's holding them back, how to get rid of fear, eliminate procrastination, have the confidence to do what you want to do, delegate the things you want to delegate, what's working, know what's not working, and how to set up your home, your office, your language patterns, your influence, what influences you, how to influence other people. So that's something we do in our live event. And that's what we do a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really great. And when you have that system, when and you're working with them to get rid of those limiting beliefs, it just kind of opens up a whole new world, doesn't it? And
you think about it
on what you want.
I mean, when COVID happened, March 20th, really, when it really happened. Think about this from a perspective of where you and I come from. I do live shows all over the world. I speak, and I have a sound company that sets up for all the live events.
Okay.
I was offered on March 13th, I was offered to go on Tony Robbins' stage to speak with Tony on his tour. On March 15th, that offer was done. In fact, on March 15th, I had all my shows that I booked. We were saying, okay, well, now it's a delay. So there's no shows. I was getting ready to go to over to England, back over to England, all over India, Dubai. We had that tour. That got canceled. And all the live events that I had in my sound companies all got canceled. So I had 3 companies go from hundreds of thousands to 0 instantly.
Right.
Now, what are we going to do? We better practice what we preach.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
Now you better figure it out. You better pivot. You better pivot.
You better figure it out. Exactly. And those are the skills. I know when you have that resilience and you can go and do that. And it's turned out to be, I know for Tony Robbins, one of the biggest things ever for him. Because that happened to him as well.
That's right.
Right. And maybe for you too.
It can't. I realized I didn't want to be on the road that much anymore. I love being home, and we could do things from home. I started creating new businesses. It just, everything got better faster. And
yes,
it's just amazing. Now, the first couple of days you're freaking out because that's human nature. So you got to go into a creative motive. That's not who I am. And if I was giving myself advice, what would I tell myself from a stage point of view? What would I tell myself? And that's when I decided I got to change. And it's great. We just went back on the road a few months ago, starting to tour again. And now we're doing our first live seminar in a couple of years, coming up in May.
Yeah. Yep. How fun. But just to be able to do that and have that resource. So that's fabulous. Well, you've given a wealth of information. I have loved our conversation, Mark. It's great. And I know a big takeaway for people, be creative, get in that creative mode. And
you have to be creative.
You have to be creative and
not competition.
Get out of the competition. Do whatever it takes when your mind starts going like that to shift or, do you have any something quick somebody can do to kind of
find out? Here's number one thing is what's influencing you around your surroundings, your own home. What are you watching on television programming? Because it's programming. What's going in your brain? What are you seeing when you look at something, and what are you listening to, and how are you responding? Who you're surrounding yourself with? That's the most critical change right there. Because you don't know what's influencing you. And you've got to know in order to make the change. Oh, I didn't know I went into one of my buddy's offices, right? And all brown paint and this and that. And I'm like, dude, all you need is a picture of the Titanic sinking.
Seriously. How depressing.
So I NLP, I put all the NLP through his whole house and office and all that. He started his business 5 years ago. This is now it's his 5th year going into this year. He started with him and 2 other guys with $10,000. Last year, 2021, he did $12 million. Wow. This year he'll do 40 million.
Wow. And it all starts in the mind. And I love, congratulations. Yeah. You know what? It's amazing. The mind is a beautiful thing. It really is when you use it correctly. So Mark, can you give us I just have loved this again. And can you give us your gift that you're going to be about that?
Love giving gifts away.
Yay.
If they go to the website, which is success.
Yeah. And it's in the link. So
okay. Successcombination.com. You can get my book there, Creating a Life That You Want, if you want to get that. But I'd like to do a little bit better than that. The one thing I want to do for your listeners, Karen, is why don't we give them the Love and Wealth program? With Love and Wealth, it's $600.
Wow. Okay.
And $595. It's not $600. It's $595. And it's audio programs, it's hypnotic programs, it's information, it's how to create more passion, even more passion in your current relationship, eliminate fear, you stop procrastinating, you attract the things you want into your life. It's really a full-fledged program. And that will set your mind up to get down on the mindset of how do millionaires work? How do I become a millionaire? I'm a multimillionaire. How do I get down that path? And that's your first step.
Wow, that's beautiful.
email me from there and just put in their email gift, and I'll give them a complimentary. They can start utilizing it. I went to the last event I spoke at. I did 2 years ago, right before COVID, 2.5 years ago, and I hypnotized one of the wives there of one of the key owners, players of the company. And I didn't know, I mean, we don't really keep in touch. And I was on stage, and he told me backstage, he goes, boy, my wife, since you hypnotized her, really increased her business. I says, really? He gets up on stage and says, you guys have to stay for Mark. He said, my wife's in real estate. He hypnotized her 2.5 years at the last event. She doubled her income the first year.
Wow.
That's
That's
people.
amazing.
Yeah,
You-
2 other people came up and say the same thing. So I've never had the year since I've been on your stage. I'm like, you could have told me that before. I could have put it as a
I
testimonial.
know, right? So go to the website, everyone, get Mark's book, get the, the free program.
Nothing well.
You
Yeah.
are not going to regret that. Also, I wanted to just say we are in a collaborative book together as well, called Cracking the Rich Code. So
Yes.
so I'm excited about that too. And so, well, thank you so much, Mark. Any last just quick parting words that
You know what?
I know.
It's your mind. Nobody controls it. Don't let anybody get in your mind and put thoughts or things in there where you accept those. Hypnosis is nothing more than influence and persuasion. Somebody says something to you, you see, feel, hear, experience it, believe it to be true, and you act upon it. That's your mind, and what things mean to you need to come from you. And if you get in that rut, get outside, move your body, shake it up, and get back into positive situation. And that's where you become creative, is from that state of excitement and not from getting influence from other people.
Get creative. Fabulous advice. Thank you so, Mark. And all right, I will see you all tomorrow. Get Mark's, go to his website, get his gift, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Thanks,
you.
Mark. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.